Welcome to Dulcimoon Talks.
Where music, connection, and inspiration meet.
I'm DJ Hamouris.
And I'm Erin Mae Lewis.
Together, we're your hosts for these beautiful conversations that celebrate the vibrant women of the dulcimer community.
Since June of 2022, Dulcimoon Talks have brought you into the lives and stories of extraordinary women, leaders, teachers, producers, and artists who are shaping and sharing the art of the dulcimer in unique ways.
Our guests come from all walks of life. Many balance their passion for dulcimers with careers far outside the music world, yet they all share one thing: a deep love for the dulcimer and the joy it brings to teaching, practicing, performing, and creating.
Each episode is an intimate journey exploring personal musical paths, sources of inspiration, and the beautiful ways dulcimers weave into our lives. Think of it as the kind of meaningful conversation you'd have while sharing a meal at a festival. A mix of insight, laughter, and heartfelt connection.
Whether you're a long-time dulcimer enthusiast or just curious about this amazing world, Dulcimoon Talks are here to inspire, inform, and delight.
We release new talks twice monthly and are thrilled to have you on this journey with us. Make sure to subscribe and join the growing community as we honor the magic of dulcimers and the people who make them sing.
Dulcimoon Talks, sharing stories,
celebrating connections,
keeping the music alive. Hello, and welcome to Dulcimoon Talk number 65. Today we get a chance to talk with Pam Weeks, who is in Maine. Pam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's really great. I've just so enjoyed finding out more about you and your multi-instrumentalist background and history. I love that when you came in, you said, well, I was just finishing up a lesson. So you're clearly in the middle of being a teaching artist and playing your heart out and reaching out to students as well. Are you, so you were saying you're in Maine. Where in Maine are you?
I live in Bowdoin, and which most people think means Bowdoin College, but Bowdoin College is in Brunswick. And I'm about a half an hour north of there.
Okay. All right. And you were saying earlier you're finally enjoying some fall weather.
Yes. Yes, indeed. You're just about it. Well, close to peak. And looking out my window, looking at my oak trees. And we've had an unusually warm fall. So I'm actually enjoying some seasonal weather.
That's great. That's great. I love watching the seasons change. So tell me a little bit about your how you started as a musician. What was that impetus earlier in life?
Wow. I have just always loved to sing and been fascinated by instruments. So I started very early with singing and had the opportunity to start to learn violin through a public school. So that's actually the first instrument other than my voice. I did that for 4 or 5 years, and then I wasn't able to continue studying it in school anymore, just going into high school and my schedule changing. But in high school, I picked up guitar and piano, and then had a great time, hanging out with my friends and playing guitars together and sort of regular singing folk songs together. And music was a huge part of my life all the way through. I always sang in choirs, performed in a couple musicals, and then went to college for music, went to Boston University School of Music for voice. And my first year there, I think it might have been that year between senior year and college, I went to the Fox Hollow Folk Festival. In I forget the town, but it's upstate from New York City. At the time I was living in Albany, and I heard a dulcimer for the first time. And I heard people playing fiddle music. And I went home and I got my violin out from under the bed and started learning fiddle tunes. Wonderful. And started looking for a dulcimer because I heard Ralph Lee Smith and Kevin Roth playing duets on dulcimer and dulcimet.
Wow.
And I was just like, I need one of those instruments. I gotta find that instrument.
Right. So those are two pretty major names in the dulcimer world. And at that time they were playing together.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Kevin is only a year or two older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So he was probably around 20 at that point.
Mm-hmm. And Ralph Smith was what, in his 50s?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What a great combination for you to be inspired by.
It was just magical.
Yeah.
And just by luck, we had a music store downtown Albany. I lived not in the city, just away from it a little bit. But there was a used music store in Albany, and I walked in there shortly after that, and there was a dulcimer on the wall.
All right.
I brought it home.
That's wonderful. So you were in college at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you brought home another instrument, and you were already studying music, and you brought home this dulcimer, and it's really different, isn't it?
It was
Yeah.
very different. I was already playing, like I said, I was already playing guitar and piano. And as part of being in college, we had to take other instruments.
Yes.
So I had no shortage of practicing to do, but I just loved the sound of the dulcimer.
Right.
And
Right.
got a Gene Ritchie book, got a couple other books, including In Search of the Wild Dulcimer.
Mm-hmm.
And can't
So
remember.
that's Robert Force's book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a couple other ones, and started to just teach myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of us, many of us ended up self-taught. So what about year would that have been?
That would have been 77, 78, 1978.
Okay. Okay. All right. So a similar trajectory on my part. It was 78 when I found the dulcimer, 79 before I bought one.
Mm.
I didn't wait too long. So from there, you were playing fiddle, you played piano, you'd been studying music seriously, voice music in college. Then you found this dulcimer, and then what?
I dropped out of college.
Okay.
I realized I also, during the same time, because as you can probably tell, I'm not one to do just one thing at a time. I was also working as a singing waitress and playing street music in Boston.
That's delightful.
I didn't come from a particularly wealthy family, but they were fine. We were fine. We were not poor,
Mm-hmm.
but we were not particularly wealthy, and so I was expected to work while I was at college.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a job and and I met a guy when I first got there, who's still a friend, Kevin McNamara, and he used to go play street music. So he took me one time, and I was like, "Hey, this is pretty cool. I can do this."
Mm-hmm.
So after 2 years of college, I dropped out because I realized I really just was not cut out for the classical music world, and my heart was in traditional folk music.
Mm.
And at that time, there really wasn't a school to study that.
Yeah.
So I was on my own then, finding individuals to work with and learn from. And that's when I really got seriously playing the dulcimer, because I really had time. And that became the instrument that I played in the subways and on the streets of Boston for hours a day. I mean, everybody and their sister played guitar and sang.
Right. Right.
But nobody had ever seen very few people had ever seen a dulcimer. So
right. Right. And those that did wanted to know when you were going to be performing again, right?
Yeah, those who did were like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a wonderful discovery and as a vocalist, that's why I picked up the dulcimer. So that makes total sense to me. I think the Gene Ritchie aspect and well, of course, by then Joni Mitchell was in the picture, of course, and it just kind of made sense to sing and play mountain dulcimer. You had to play something, right?
Right. That's
Right.
right. And
Right.
by then also, shortly after I dropped out of college, I was playing my dulcimer and having some trouble because the books that I had all encouraged a thumb lead,
Mm-hmm.
and that was never comfortable for my thumb. It just,
Mm.
the way my thumb is made, it just didn't feel good. And I decided I needed to find someone to learn from because I was
Mm-hmm.
obviously doing something wrong for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I went to the Music Emporium in Cambridge. I was living in Cambridge by that time and signed up for lessons with Lorraine Hammond.
Oh, wonderful.
At that time, Lorraine Lee.
What
She was
fortune.
teaching classes. She was teaching classes at the Music Emporium.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just give you a little story about that. Um, I went to the first class and I had already progressed beyond where the class was at. So I was like, well, this was a nice idea, but I guess not. And I went home and I didn't go to the next class. So she called me
Mm-hmm.
to find out what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, yeah, I've been playing on my own already, so it's really not a good fit for me. She came over to my tiny little room I was renting in an apartment, and we sat on my bed because there was no room in my room for chairs and played dulcimer together. And she figured out what class I should be in and got me to come back.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of our now many decades long friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And really gave me a good push, a good direction in playing the dulcimer.
Mm-hmm. So
And
how
we
did
did
she?
mixture of songs and tunes. A lot of, because I love fiddle tunes, obviously. So a lot of traditional tunes as well as the songs.
How did she end up addressing the thumb issue?
Well, she is a first finger lead player. She
Okay.
doesn't use her thumb. And so that was a good fit for me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use my thumb minimally, but the whole sort of her whole approach to playing was centered on using the first finger as a replacement for the noter,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then bringing in chords supporting that finger. I
Mm-hmm.
guess that's what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a melody chord style,
Right.
but a little different fingerings and stuff than if I had used my thumb in that way.
Mm-hmm. One of my students gave me her book, and I've been meaning to go through that along with, I got a Bonnie Carroll book, and I don't know, all kinds of things. Over the years, students, they let go of stuff, and of course, they think to give it to me, including their old dulcimers when they
Yeah.
decide to go elsewhere. Um,
I have two rooms upstairs with lots of different
I
instruments in them.
know, I know. That closet back there has,
Yeah.
yeah. I have this curtain, so I don't have to look at it all the time. The books and the dulcimers, and I see your multiple recordings back there that you're doing, and the cases and everything. Clearly, you're involved. It's funny. So that's a wonderful story, and it's a wonderful story about teachers being involved individually with the students. And what a good role model for you. Yeah, you're very fortunate.
Yes,
Yeah,
very much so.
definitely. So, so that happened,
Hmm.
and you continued to play dulcimer. Did you start performing out other than busking?
I continued to play dulcimer. I was also learning fiddle at the same time, and again went to the Music Emporium for classes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and those were with Alan Block, who I think I mentioned to you in my
Mm-hmm.
email to you. Um, and I was busking a lot. I was also starting to perform in coffee houses in the Boston area.
Mm-hmm.
But probably busking more than anything because I could go out every day and come home with income.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great to know.
Yeah. And took whatever side jobs I needed. But really, at that time in Boston, I was able to go out pretty much every day. And it was great because it meant I was playing all my tunes like for
Mm-hmm.
3 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And you get really solid with that kind of playing.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
you're
can
trying
see
to do
that.
it right because there are people watching. It's not just sort of going here and there and trying different things. It's really, it is performing. People are watching and paying attention
Mm-hmm.
and talking to you. And it's a neat way to have a living for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. But eventually you have to go somewhere else.
Yes. And eventually I did. I moved to Maine.
Ah, okay. So from Boston to Maine.
I was in New Hampshire for a year in between.
Mm-hmm.
I'd met a guy in the subway who was another street musician who was from Maine. But we moved to New Hampshire for a year, considering buying into a land trust there.
Mm-hmm.
Did not. We ended up deciding not to, and ended up in Maine instead,
Mm-hmm.
where he had been living for a long time. And so, yeah, I had a small farm homestead in the Western Mountains in Maine for many years. And just continued to teach and perform. Really started teaching in a big way. I started teaching when I was in Boston still.
Okay.
Really right from even when I was in college, I was teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And then just have done more and more of it. So teaching has always been a big part of what I've done too.
Mm-hmm. One of the things about being a trained performer is that for me, it was the pull between preparing for performances and teaching what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I've come to feel much more comfortable as a performer. I mean, you kind of have to if I'm 73. So, and I've been doing it since I was in my 20s. So you have to eventually do that. But what I find is the teaching is really still the most satisfying to me. What about you?
That's a good question. I think the teaching, I enjoy performing.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, I perform with other people. I do perform solo, but my favorite performing is with my band
Mm-hmm.
because we just really have fun.
Yeah.
And, but I would say day to day, the most satisfaction, what I feel like is part of my work in the world is the teaching,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is opening up musical doors for other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They really, it's quite a trust between teacher and student, and building up that trust can open up amazing things in people. Yeah.
And it happened that way for me. My having Lorraine as my friend, as my mentor, as my teacher has been amazing for all these decades.
Mm-hmm.
And my other big influences were both on fiddle. One was Donna Hebert, who's still a good friend,
Mm-hmm.
and the other Alan Block, who I took a class with for 2 or 3 years. It was a pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
situation. And he and Donna both share, and I think Lorraine too, but I remember talking specifically about it with Donna and with Alan, that it's not about you as a performer. It's not about anything like people are looking at you thing. It's here is this wonderful music. Isn't it great?
Mm-hmm.
And putting your heart into that music
Mm-hmm.
and then how you're expressing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of take your ego out, step back a little bit, and just present what it is.
Yeah.
And that was really, really good to hear because I'm not a person who likes to make a big fuss over themselves or get a lot of attention.
Mm.
I'm very
Okay.
happy hanging out with my instruments and my dogs and a book. So that really kind of cleared the way to make performing easier for me, that it's not about me, it's about the music.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what a great way to cut through that whole stage fright thing, right? It's about communication. You're communicating this music you love so much. You've spent hours making sure that you're satisfied with how you're communicating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It does help to jump over that ego aspect. I mean, you can feel proud about your work, of course.
Yeah, sure.
You know, that time when you finish it and you go, yeah, that was good. Yeah.
It's very satisfying when that happens.
Yeah. And the satisfaction aspect is really what I'm talking about there. It's like, yeah, I did a good job. I communicated it. And to see your students, do you have like performances with your students ever?
Yes. Not as much in recent years, but I used to do student recitals when I had more of my students in one place. Right now, I spend my time between 4 different locations teaching.
Mm.
And so to bring everybody together is kind of impossible. But before I lived in Bowdoin, I lived in a town called Turner, and most of my students were really local. So we would put on recitals twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they could perform solo if they wanted to, and they're people of all ages. But I had a little fiddle ensemble, or traditional music ensemble, I should say, because not everybody played fiddle.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there was a whistle, sometimes there's a dulcimer, sometimes there was someone on the piano, or I would play piano for them. But that would be the focus of the recital. People who wanted to would do an individual thing, but part of the recital was that group would perform together.
Right.
And would have everybody in the audience get up and do contradancing.
Oh, wonderful.
It's a great way to take the pressure off the kids because they're playing for people dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And the dancers are enjoying the music, and so the kids didn't have all this time of everyone staring at them.
Right. Right.
Had a little bit of that because they did do some solos and duets, but I know that made the recitals way more enjoyable for them.
Yeah, what a great way to orchestrate, so to speak, the environment. That's fantastic. So I wanted to get to a couple things you told me about. I was excited that you had a chance to play dulcimer with orchestra more than once.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, the first one, I got to perform the Blackberry Winter Concerto with the Bangor Symphony Orchestra, our premier state orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
That was a few years ago. They just called me up out of the blue, and they had found the director Lucas had discovered Blackberry Winter, and my name was sent to him as a possible dulcimer player. So I got to do that with them.
Mm-hmm.
That was exciting. It was a good amount of work, but it was very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said that's got a video on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll have to put that link in there.
Yeah.
Blackberry Winter with Bangor Symphony Orchestra.
Bangor. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
GOR.
Right. Right. And there was more than just the Blackberry Winter, right? You did something.
A call, a year or so later from a group in Boston that had commissioned. So I just had it. Oh, it must be in the other room. Had commissioned a piece from a composer out in the Midwest. And it's called A Transcendental Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a cantata based on the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry Thoreau.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a bass, a soprano, an alto, a tenor. There was a quartet of singers, and me, a small ensemble of piano, a percussionist, a violin, a cello, and me. Mm-hmm. And then the chorus behind us.
Wow.
And again, it was, as with the Bangor Symphony, it was go down for an overnight, go to Boston for an overnight, rehearse, perform the next day.
Yep. Yep. That's the way they do it.
Yep.
So how did you accomplish the level of ability you have? What is your practice? What are your practice tips?
Oh, do it. I really feel part of my foundation were those hours and hours that I played street music.
Mm-hmm.
I really did most days of the week go and play, no matter what the weather conditions were, because often I was in the subway.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an amplifier. I wasn't trying
Okay.
to be completely acoustic. But that 2 or 3 hours a day for several years during those years
Mm-hmm.
set a huge foundation. Just getting everything in the muscle memory, everything, developing the focus and the ability to learn quickly and memorize stuff
Mm-hmm.
and learn. I've always worked by ear, by learning fiddle. My teachers were all insisted on learning by ear.
Hmm.
In fact, I to my first fiddle teacher, I brought she said, bring all your music that you've been playing. Because again, I'd already been playing and then I wanted to get further. So I found a teacher and she took the books away, give them back to make me learn the tunes by ear.
Yeah.
And there was no internet. I couldn't go look something up,
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great thing she did for me because it did. It made me focus on learning by ear and memorizing things very quickly. And you do it by playing over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really do feel that to achieve a level of playing, you have to practice. I also feel that teaching
Mm-hmm.
has made me a much better player
Yeah.
on all the instruments because you have to be able to explain what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have to find a different way to explain with different people.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up just, again, repeating those basics over and over and over again,
Yeah.
where you might not have the patience to otherwise.
Right. Right. And intuition takes a big part of that too. What is it that this person can? What have they taught you that they need? Right? In your relationship and finding new ways to work with them that maybe you haven't had to do before, right?
Right. Everyone has their own strengths.
Exactly.
There's no one right way to teach.
Yeah.
And I work with each individual
Mm-hmm.
according to their strengths. And then we try to address whatever they're perceiving as their weaknesses.
Right.
But everybody has their own way of perceiving things. And
Mm-hmm.
part of my duty as a teacher is to find the easiest way for them to learn.
Right. Right.
To make progress, because the
Mm-hmm.
goal isn't this is the right path. The goal is let's open up that musical world.
Right. Oh, I like that.
Find what you really want to be doing in it.
Yeah. Open up avenues to the world. Yeah. Yeah. When you finally, when your student says, what I really want to be playing is Cyndi Lauper, and you go, okay, let's look at that. You're like, really? I can do pop music on a dulcimer? You go, well, yeah.
That's right.
You mentioned something that I really wanted to touch on. Something about someone who had kind of changed how you looked at things. Oh, I think it was, Alan Block.
Yeah.
That he was extraordinary in his own way. What was it about that?
Alan was a character. He passed away several years ago. Wonderful, wonderful fiddler. He, as a younger person, had owned a sandal shop in New York City, and it's where all the folk musicians of the day would go and hang out and jam. So he knew everybody.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I met him, he pretty much retired. He was living in New Hampshire and coming down to Boston once a week to teach this fiddle class.
Mm-hmm.
There were about a dozen of us in the class. Every week, he would teach us 2 or 3 tunes by ear. It was a 2-hour class.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would play, he would play, 5 or 10 more tunes during the class.
Right.
We never knew the next week which tunes he'd want to play again. So we all went home and learned like 10 tunes. Because you didn't want to get caught not knowing the tune.
I love that.
So that's the sort of the teaching side of it. But he also spent a lot of time and God bless him, he always had a little container of something to sip on, and would spend part of the class talking about his philosophy of playing music. And he brought us together as a class. We would go out afterwards to a restaurant across the street and all have dinner together. It was that kind of class. And he would go with us and talk more.
Yes.
And he talked a lot about his philosophy of music and of playing music. And we learned a lot of old time tunes. Some were hard, some were easy, didn't really matter. But what mattered a lot to him was that we played with heart. Not that we were in tune, but he wanted us to have drive and lift and rhythm so that you play in a way that makes people have to dance. And with heart. So if you're playing a slower, quieter tune, that's going to touch people inside. And he said he felt his job as a musician was to help other people express what they were already feeling.
Right.
Through his music.
Right.
And I interpret that now as helping them find access to their own feelings.
Catharsis.
Whether they're big emotions or whether it's just, this is really fun. Laughing and goofing around and having a good time dancing.
Right.
But that was way more important to him than being precise, getting the notes just right, doing it exactly as he said. Now, he wanted us to learn the tune the way he taught it. And then once he knew we knew it, go off and do whatever you want with it.
Right.
I remember there was one fellow who tried really hard to do all the bowing rhythms and all the bowing patterns. And he said, I can only do it backwards. So basically, whenever Alan would be like, you need a down bow here, this guy had to have an up bow. He was just completely reversed. And at one point, he was really stressing about it. Alan said to him, I don't care. You've got lift. You've got the drive. Go ahead and bow it backwards.
Yep.
Because that's not the point. The point is the drive, is the lift, is getting that rhythm. It doesn't matter how you get it. And that was just illuminating. There's a lot of teachers out there that are very much do it precisely this way. But Alan always cut to what was at the heart and what was the point of what we were doing. And we would have long conversations about why do we play music? And why should everybody play music? Because they should. And what it really means, And so it was great. At that point, I think I was about 20. And that was a different. So this was around the same time as I was studying with Lorraine. And so this was just a whole different take on music that I'd been exposed to, and a whole different take on what a teacher could be than I had been exposed to. So they were fundamental in sort of determining how I approach music the rest of my life and what is important to me.
What a great foundation.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You can literally go anywhere with that in you.
Yeah, it's not about what kind of music it is. It's far more global.
Well, go anywhere is like you can compose, you can perform, you could teach, you could, maybe go into building instruments.
Right.
There's so many different directions you can go with that level of foundation. Music at the core, as an art and beauty that humans need.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has. I've done a lot of different things. I taught in a private school for a while, hired primarily for fiddle, but I ended up teaching all of the instruments, which is part of why I have a lot of instruments. And I've directed groups. In that job, I also directed a jazz band and an orchestra.
Wow.
Currently, I direct 2 choirs. And I've dabbled in instrument repair and instrument building, just thinking about what you just said. So I've done a lot of different kinds of things, but it's always with that core of music and how do we express ourselves through music of whatever kind it is.
Right, right. Including that which we've never heard before, but only you can play.
Right. And I compose a lot of tunes.
Wonderful.
And one thing I do want to mention, because it's a really fun part of my life right now, is that my partner and I do a weekly jam on Tuesdays on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, great.
And we start at 6:45. We go to about 8 o'clock. 6:45, we do a little mini concert, just a song and a tune or something that we enjoy and that we're going to just play up to speed and we don't expect people to play along with.
Mm-hmm.
Then from 7 to 8, it's an intermediate, basically fiddle tune jam, but we're open to everything. I'm often playing dulcimer as well as fiddle. And people write in the chat what they would like us to play. And if we know it, we play it. If we don't know it, and I can look it up really fast, we play it. Because I'm a good music reader and Bill is really quick on picking up chords. If it's something that's too hard or notey, we may say, or I can only find a video of it. We'll play it in a different week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's with the idea that we want people playing along at home. So I'll play the tune a little slowly a couple times and then bring it to speed up a little bit if it's not a common tune, if it's not a really easy tune.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of fun. And we have a lot of the same people tuning in every week. And they've kind of gotten to know each other and they have conversations.
Of course.
Nothing to do with what we're doing. Sort of related. There's a lot of bad puns. And it's
great.
very casual. I make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want it to feel like, I mean, I don't make mistakes on purpose, but we want it to feel like we're all just sitting in my living room together playing tunes.
That's fantastic. I will make sure that we put stuff about that in at the Dulcimoon group, the Facebook group,
Right.
and let them know. People are always interested in online stuff because, as you've probably also discovered, there's an awful lot of people who do not have access to in-person classes, concerts, coffee houses, or festivals, or maybe they are near them, but they are caregivers or disabled themselves, or any number of reasons why they can't go to these. And the online events that have blossomed since the pandemic have been a boon to that population.
Yeah, they sure have been.
I am really happy to hear that you're doing this. I'm sure that a lot of people will be glad to hear about it. That would be like 6:45 Pacific time is, well, 6:45 U, that would be 3:45 Pacific time. So I'll let my students know about that too. Yeah. Wonderful.
And I do some online teaching as well. Started during the pandemic, of course. Mm-hmm. And it's so great to have all these different avenues.
Yes, it really is. It really is great. So you've done musicals, you've done recordings. What about your recordings that you've got?
Yeah, I have a few. Let's see. I haven't recorded anything super recently, and I've been thinking about that. I really need to get another recording together. But I have one recording with the original contradance band that I met my current partner in and other member of our trio in. And I'm laughing because the name of that group is Scrod Pudding.
Is what?
Scrod Pudding.
Scrog Pudding.
Scrod Pudding.
Okay. I have no idea what that is.
Scrod is a New England term. It can be a white fish. Often it's cod or hake, or it's like an unknown white fish that gets used for chowder.
Okay.
And I did not come up with the name. The band existed. The guys asked me to join. But we have a wonderful hammer dulcimer player in that band who's pretty much unknown. His name is Greg Anderson. And a banjo / accordion player, guitar and bass. So anyway, it's great driving music. It's contradance music and a couple songs.
Hmm.
But more recently, I do have an album of mountain dulcimer music called The Trestle Bridge. It has a lot of my own tunes on it. That's an instrumental album.
Hmm.
And of course, some wonderful people playing with me on that album. And another called Waiting for the Perseids, which again, it has a lot of my own tunes. That is one of them. Trestle Bridge and Waiting for the Perseids are tunes I've written. Um, that has more of a mixture of fiddle and dulcimer
Hmm.
and all instrumental. And then most recently with my trio, T-Acadie, we have an album called T-Acadie by the Sea.
Okay. All right.
And we do a mixture of music that at the time we recorded it, we had a regular gig on the coast of Maine overlooking the harbor and
Mm.
a resort. And so we kind of based it on songs and tunes that we play there.
Mhm.
And that includes everything from sea shanties to traditional tunes and more current folk songs written mostly by Maine related composers.
That's wonderful. So I'm sure these are all on your website, right?
They are.
You want to speak it out for us? Your
And
website?
yeah, it's easy to remember. My website is pamweeks.com.
There you go. Don't even have to worry about spelling.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
Weeks like the days of the weeks.
Uh-huh. I'm so glad that you were able to do this with us. It's just been delightful to get to know you and hear about your musical heart. And I hope to be a witness to some of that in person sometime in the near future. Thanks so much for coming. And we'll make sure that if you tuned into this, you can just share the link that is live, and that'll be the same thing for the replay. You don't have to find a new link for that. And we're looking forward to talks with Susanna Baker and Ruth Smith, both coming up in the future. So subscribe. I think as a YouTube promoter, I'm supposed to say that, right? Anyway, thanks so much, Pam. I really appreciate you taking the time today, and it's been fun talking with you.
Thanks so much for having me. This was a real delight.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yay!
Yay.